American people, to our small businesses, understanding that you all know better how to spend your own money than politicians in Washington, D.C. know how to spend. I think we're seeing a great awakening of the American public, the individual Americans who want the exceptionalism put back into our country.
Your passion is rising.
Not just me, it's so many Americans who we are speaking with today. That passion is real, it's sincere. These folks love this country. They want to make sure that we are handing the next generation the blessings of liberty. And that is why it's so important for people to get engaged. Let's do what we know America needs done. Empower the people of America.
Governor Sarah Palin.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The sign that says thank you, Sarah. No, I thank you. You are what keeps me going, keeps so many of us going. Your love of country keeps us going. Thank you so much. Iowa, you are good people. You are all good people who are here. Thank you. It is an honor to be in the heartland sharing this Labor Day weekend with you. And I thank you so much for the invitation to these organizers who put so much work into all this. It's so good to see the O for P and C for P people here today. So last night was fun getting to run into some of you at the restaurants and to see so many demographics represented in so many different states, you know, all across our great nation here. We got to gather together last night. Demographics represented, different political parties even represented. And Todd reminded me as we walked out of that room last night, he said, see, we're not celebrating red America or blue America. We're celebrating red, white, and blue America. So what brought us here today out in this field? Why aren't we catching a Cyclones game or watching the Hawkeyes perhaps, or grilling up some venison and corn on the cob, maybe some caribou with some friends on this Labor Day weekend? What brought us together is a love of country. And we see that America is hurting. We're not willing to just sit back and watch her demise through some fundamental transformation of the greatest country on earth. We're here to stop that transformation and to begin the restoration of the country that we love. We're here because America is at a tipping point. America faces a crisis. And it's not a crisis like perhaps a Midwest summer storm, the kind that moves in and hits hard, but then it moves on. No, this kind will relentlessly rage until we do restore all that is free and good and right about America. It's not just fear of a double-dip recession, and it's not even the shame of a credit downgrade for the first time in U.S. history. It's deeper than that. This is a systemic crisis due to failed policies and incompetent leadership. And we're going to speak truth today. It may be hard-hitting, but we're going to speak truth today because we need to start talking about what hasn't worked, and we're going to start talking about what will work for America. We will talk truth. Now, some of us saw this day coming. It was 3 years ago on this very day that I spoke at the GOP convention where I was honored to be able to accept the nomination for vice president that night. And in my speech, I asked America, I said, when the cloud of rhetoric has passed, when the roar of the crowd fades away, what exactly is Barack Obama's plan? What does he actually seek to accomplish? after he's done turning back the waters and healing the planet? The answer is to make government bigger, to take more of your money, to give more of it to others, and to take more orders from Washington, and to reduce the strength of America in a dangerous world. I spoke of this, but back then it was only my words that you had to go by. Now you have seen the proof yourself. Candidate Obama didn't have a record while he was in office, but President Obama sure does, and that's why we're here today. Candidate Obama, he pledged to fundamentally transform America. And for all the failures and the broken promises, that's the one thing that he has delivered on. We've transformed from a country of hope to one of anxiety. Today, 1 in 5 working-age men, they're out of work. 1 in 7 Americans are on food stamps. 30% of our mortgages are underwater. In places like Michigan and California, parts there, they're suffering from unemployment numbers that are greater than during the depths of the Great Depression. Look, Barack Obama promised to cut the deficit in half, and instead he turned around and he tripled it. And now our national debt is growing at $3 million a minute. That's $4.25 billion a day. President Obama, is this what you call winning the future? I call it losing our country, and with it the American dream. President Obama, these people, these Americans, feel that fierce urgency of now. But do you feel it, sir? The Tea Party was born of this urgency. It's the same sense of urgency that propelled the Sons of Liberty during the Revolution. It's the same sense of urgency that propelled the abolitionists before the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement during the 20th century. The Tea Party movement is part of this noble American tradition. This movement isn't simply a political awakening. It's an American awakening. And it's coming from ordinary Americans, not the politicos in the Beltway, not those types. No, it's you who grow our food, you run our small businesses, you teach our children, you fight our wars. We are always proud of America. We love our country in good times and in bad, and we never apologize for America. See, now that is why the far left's irresponsible and radical policies really awakened a sleeping America, so that we finally understood what it was that we were about to lose. We were about to lose the blessings of liberty and prosperity. So the working men and women of this country, you got up off your couch. You came down from the deer stand. You came out of the duck blind. You got off the John Deere, and we took to the streets, and we took to the town halls, and we ended up at the ballot box. And as much as the media wants you to forget this, Tea Party Americans won an electoral victory of historic proportions in November. Well, we the people, we rose up and we rejected the left's big government agenda. We don't want it, we can't afford it, and we are unwilling to pay for it. That victory, though, remember, friends, that was only one step in a long march towards saving our country. We sent a new class of leaders to D.C., but immediately the permanent political class, they tried to co-opt them. Because the reality is, we are governed by a permanent political class until we change that. They talk endless about cutting government, and yet they keep spending more. They talk about massive unsustainable debt, and yet they keep incurring more. They spend, they print, they borrow, they spend more, and then they stick us with the bill. Then they pat their own backs and they claim that they faced and solved the debt crisis that they got us in. But when we were humiliated in front of the world with our country's first credit downgrade, they promptly went on vacation. No, they don't feel the same urgency that we do. But why should they? For them, business is good. Business is very good. 7 of the 10 wealthiest suburbs are suburbs of Washington, D.C. Polls there actually, and usually I'll say polls, they're for strippers and cross-country skiers. But polls in those parts actually show that some people there believe that the economy has actually improved. See, there may not be a recession in Georgetown, but there is in the rest of America. Yeah, the permanent political class, they're doing just fine. Ever notice how so many of them, they arrive in Washington, D.C. of modest means, and then miraculously throughout the years, they end up becoming very, very wealthy? Well, it's because they derive power and their wealth from their access to our money, to taxpayer dollars. They use it to bail out their friends on Wall Street and their corporate cronies, and to reward contributors, and to buy votes via earmarks. There is so much waste. And there is a name for this. It's called corporate crony capitalism. And this, folks, it's not the capitalism of free men and free markets, of innovation and hard work and ethics, of sacrifice and of risk. No, this is the capitalism of connections and government bailouts and handouts. It's of waste and influence peddling and corporate welfare. This is the crony capitalism that destroyed Europe's economies. It's the collusion of big government and big business and big finance to the detriment of all the rest, to the little guy. It's a slap in the face to our small business owners, the true entrepreneurs, the job creators, accounting for 70% of the jobs in America. It's you who own these small businesses. You're the economic engine, but you don't grease the skids of power in government. So you want to know why the permanent political class never really does cut anything? You really want to know why nothing ever really does get done? It's because there's nothing in it for them. Really, there's nothing in it for them. They've got a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of corporate lobbyists, and a lot of special interests that are counting on them to keep the good times and the money rolling along. It doesn't surprise me. I've seen this kind of crony capitalism before. It's the same old good old boy politics as usual that I fought and we defeated in my home state. I took on a corrupt and compromised political class and their backroom dealings with big oil. And I can tell you from experience that sudden and relentless reform never sits well with entrenched interests and power brokers. So please, you must vet a candidate's record. You must know their ability to successfully reform and actually fix problems that they're going to claim that they inherited. Real reform never sits well with the entrenched special interests, and that's why the true voices of reform are so quickly demonized. Look what they say about you. You are concerned, civilized citizens, and look what they say about you. And just look what happened during the debt ceiling debate.